What is going on, sports card fiends? Hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day, and today we're here with a video on why you should not live or die by the PSA Pop Report. Anyone worth their salt in this hobby knows what the PSA Pop Report is. That is the PSA database in which they have all of the things that they've graded, how many they've graded, and which grades they're all in, and they also have some historical price data on their website as well. A lot of helpful things for you to be able to navigate their graded card section and what they have to offer and what all is kind of within their database. So a lot of people use this. It's a very helpful database to look through. However, it is not everything, and that is what this video is meant to show you, kind of what I use it for, what I think it is very useful for, but also kind of the downsides to it and where you should definitely focus your attention if you don't want to get caught by some of the underlying misleading information that you might see on their site. Not by their design, but by the design of those that are selling. Mostly people that claim low pop, even though stuff isn't low pop. It's a weird thing. So let's go ahead and get on over to the site and kind of talk about how I use the website. So over on the PSA site right now, I went to the Pop Report section, and from here I can look up anything I would like to. So to start, we're going to look up something that has been coveted as a true rookie and has been graded as such, and that is the 2004 Messi Mega Cracks number 71. So taking a look here, we can see kind of the whole set and what all they've graded in it, but most importantly, we'll take a look here at this Messi and see its grading section. So overall, 325 of them have been graded, so not a ton, especially when you compare it to anything modern. And then the most important aspect when you look at this Messi one, and what sticks out to me in this pop report and should stick out to you, is that it is basically fleshed out. I'm sure there are a lot of 4s, 5s, 3s, 2s maybe that still need graded, like a lot of the lower stuff, but as far as 10 through 4, it's pretty heavily graded. Now sure, there's still more to come, but if you look at modern sections, you'll probably only see 9s, 10s, maybe some 8s. But with the older cards, you have to have more leniency with what you're grading because there's just not as much pop. So you can see that the entire section is starting to get fleshed out more, which means that this card is coveted no matter what condition it is in, which is ultimately the true sign of collectability in the hobby, I think. If you can't supply the demand within all of the cards that are there, you're doing pretty good. So for this Messi example, this is just a good kind of, not vintage, but older, more coveted card that is going to show you that these things can be fleshed out. Some of them are not, and that's what you have to look out for. The takeaways here, the total amount graded is what everyone kind of looks at. It is important, but it's not the only factor. And on top of that, whenever you see something like this, you can kind of tell how hard something is to grade. So here, I mean, only 20 10s is pretty insane, but I don't think it's terribly hard to grade because there's still 35 9s. There are certain things in the hobby, maybe soccer, Pokemon, whatever you're into, where they're extremely hard to grade for certain reasons, and that ratio may be even more off than 20 to 35. Maybe you'll only have 5 PSA 10s to 35 9s. It really depends, and that's where you can start to see those premiums really start to outweigh each other. Looking at something a little bit more modern so we can take away some other things from it, a 2017 Topps Chrome Christian Pulisic is what we'll be taking a look at. Here you can see that for his base card, 151 10s and 100 9s. This is an example of something more modern where it isn't hard to gem things in the modern era. Now maybe once PSA kind of ups those grading restrictions, which is the rumors everyone talks about, I'm not sure if it's in place, we will see. But if that is the case, maybe that starts to lean the other way and 9s become, more established. But looking down here at the refractor, basically here, 43 10s and 33 9s, which I found to be pretty interesting because you would expect something of higher value, which a refractor is, to be graded even if they're lower grades. So the pop would be more fleshed out, and so you'd have kind of a higher scale of lower grades. Strangely enough, here with the refractor, there's actually more 10s than 9s by about the same ratio as on the base card. So I found that very interesting. Like here too with the purple refractor, you can see 18 10s and 4 9s. Like this is really where you start to learn what cards are truly hard to grade. One thing that I found in the 2018, I'm guessing most of the Prism, is that the hyper stuff, like the ones with all the crazy little lines that are just, I don't know, they're really cool to look at, but they're pretty crazy. Those are almost incredibly hard to gem, and so looking into the pop reports, you can kind of see that. Looking at some Mbappe's here, yeah, that's what I was looking for. The Hyper Prism from 2018, 56 total graded, 8 10s and 48 9s. And if you look at the rest of the Prism, nothing was really that hard to grade. Like, nothing has the same type of premium on that 10. I mean, Red Prism would be the closest, and even that still has like a third of the 10s, while compared to the Hyper, they have like a sixth compared to the 9s. It's really nutty. So that's where you can start to understand the differentiations in that regard. On top of that, there are also historical price listings that you can see up here. If you click APR over here on the PSA site, it should then show you, yeah. Okay, so then you can kind of go through everything from there. So taking a look here, these price listings will give you a good idea of like historical context, what they used to be worth and what they're worth now. These are the laser prisms that I'm showing. So say, for instance, in August, his PSA 9 was $760, we can see down here. And then if we scroll up right now, a PSA 9 is 1.5 grand. So basically doubled since August, and that's a nice way to go back historically and see how that's going. Along with that, you can just scroll back to the very beginning and start to see when these even were kind of graded. So the first one started hitting the market really in September of 2019. So, you know, I mean, about a year and a half ago at this point, and 26 bucks. So that's the insane ride we've been in soccer. I also, like, if you're gonna look back at these prices, know that things will never be the same. They cannot. There are too many people in the soccer hobby for it to just dissipate overnight, especially when all of these people, like, you see the prices of what this Mbappe was. It used to be 30 bucks and now it's a grand, 1.5. So when that much money's been pushed into the hobby, there are plenty of people that have built up collections, cash, other assets. There's been the wealth transferred already into the hobby, so it can't just dissipate. Now, does this show potentially where prices could be if someone just fell off? Yeah, it's a nice warning of what can be, but looking back on this, having all the price listings, kind of understanding what you're looking at when you're looking at the PSA Pop, gives you a good idea as far as what's actually truly unique, valuable, and collectible, and which ones aren't. An example of something that isn't and might kind of get sold in that way is the Topps Now Mukuku. Taking a look at this, we can see that the pop right here for his base card is 116 in a 10 version and 60 in a 9 version. So only 200 total graded, half of the Messi rookie, so low pop, I guess. But going on over to eBay now, we can take a look at some Topps Now Mukuku, and let's just see what the PSA 10 goes for, because that is where the fun is. So going on down to sold items, we'll see that a little under 500, 400, 500, 700 for BGS 10, 400. So probably 3 to 4 to 500. We'll say 400 maybe for the PSA 10. And you'd be like, well, I mean, only pop 150. That's not that bad, right? So maybe it's worth it. And I think that's where a lot of people's research kind of just stops, and it shouldn't, because you should also then go on eBay and look and see how many of these are available raw and what prices they're available for raw. So throwing in regular Topps Now Mukuku, we can see that one recently sold on auction for $15. And an SGC 10 went for $150, another raw one here for $20, probably like $25. Yeah, you get the idea. Essentially, these cards can be found anywhere from 10 to 30 bucks. And suddenly now, if it's graded a 10, it's worth 400, and if it's graded a 9, it's worth 100, 150 probably, which makes no sense, because all of these cards are probably a 9 or 10. They're all fresh out of Topps. No one's doing anything with them. The people that get them, they get them in large quantities, so I doubt they're doing anything weird with them. They're not packed. They're not going through different hands. They're just pack fresh, all of them. And you can buy them readily raw for 15 bucks. Or you can go out and buy a pack fresh one that's in a little slabby boy and pay 150, 500 bucks. And it's silly. It really is. And if you didn't know what you were doing, maybe you look at the PSA Pop Report and you think, it might be worthwhile. But at the end of the day, you have to do your research. You have to go back. You have to see how long these have actually been worth getting graded, and you have to understand how many more are to come on the market. So just some things to take into account before you get buying on your next PSA soccer stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave a like. Anything you want to let me or others know in regards to how you search and decide what to do with PSA Pop Reports, let me know in a comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this as soon as they go live, make sure to subscribe. And with that said, hopefully you have a wonderful day, and peace.